Hi, it's Todd with Kudas Industries. Today I got a video on how to install a engineered hardwood floor. This one is the Golden Arowana from Costco. So I'll take you through all the steps start to finish. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to get back to you.
So on this particular job, I have the room I'm putting the new floor in is adjacent to a bedroom, and I'm walking to and from the bedroom all the time to get to this job site. So I put down this protective layer of carpet shield. It's a clear plastic, comes in a roll. Movers use it a lot, construction sites use it. It really protects this cream colored carpet because it will get a lot of traffic. So that's step number one, and then step number two is ripping out the existing carpet.
So when I remove carpet, start from the edges, peel it back, cut it in 3-foot wide strips, then roll it up and tape it for the garbage man. I use diagonal or side cutter pliers to remove the staples, and of course remove your tack strip from all the way around the room and clean up all the extra padding and make sure you get all the staples out.
Now we gotta check the subfloor, make sure it's not squeaking, loose. I do have a couple loose spots here. You can kind of see that's got to be screwed down. And I also noticed this plywood has some pretty good steps in it. Okay, that's not good for the flooring. You need a nice smooth surface, a little step here in the corner, and then against here the wall. I'm not sure what they did when they framed this, but you can see all these little pieces of plywood here. They're flexing. So we're gonna put Lawan plywood on top of this, 5mm thick, to give it a nice smooth surface. I just happen to have some deck mate 2 inches, so I went with these. You know, you could use nails. When I use nails, I use ring shank nails just to make sure that they don't back out when you're stepping on the boards. But any screw, construction screw, wood screw will work as long as it's long enough to go through the plywood and into the joist below. So here's what it looks like with the underlayment installed. I use underlayment nails, which have a ring shank. I'll show you those in a second. And I put my nails on 6-inch centers. That's why you see so many nails. But now I have a smooth, even surface to put my flooring on. And I'll just show you the underlayment is 5mm thick, sometimes called Lawan. Just very smooth surface. And here's the underlayment nails. 1.25. They have a ring shank, so they grip real well and won't back out. So one more piece to go, and we'll start laying the floor. Okay, subfloor is in, so now we're going to start laying the laminate flooring. And the first thing I did was I struck this line, this chalk line, 2 inches away from either side of the board or each end, and I just checked it along the length to make sure that my edge is straight, because that'll be my guide going forward. So all the way down, measured off 2 inches at each end, struck the line and measured it, and this is actually pretty straight. So now I'll start laying the boards. Keeping in mind there's a 3/8 gap all the way around, and I took 2 pieces of Lawan. They're right at 3/8 of an inch thick if you sandwich them together, and that's, for this particular floor, the right spacing to have around the whole perimeter. The other thing I did was, under the trim for the door, I took a multi-tool and just cut it, because the flooring is going to slide underneath that. So, okay, here we go. Okay, so we're starting to lay it. You see my spacers along the wall. Those are 3/8 thick, roughly, on each side. And if you notice, these joints are staggered. I try to stagger them as much as possible, at least 8 inches between joints. And I'll show you how to click it in here. Okay, we're ready to start laying this in. So as the instructions say, it's about a 20-30 degree angle. I butt it up against my spacers against the wall. Hook it in, pull it towards me, hitting block, which is a piece of scrap. Lock it in. Now it's flat against the floor. It has to be extremely tight. If it's still cupped underneath here, it's not in all the way. So keep hitting it until it goes in. That's the first piece. Then we'll go to the next piece. Slight angle. I butt it up against the first piece. Make sure it's tight all on the top here. And fold it down. And smack it in place. It has to be really, really tight. There it goes. Flip this over. That's it. On my circular saw, it's a 6.5 inch diameter blade. Ultra fine tooth, like what you use with plywoods or plastics. It does a really nice job at cutting it. High tooth count, carbide teeth, so make sure you get a really fine tooth blade to cut this with.
Take a minute to talk about cuts, and you notice as I bring this board in, it's upside down, and I mark it upside down and actually make the cuts upside down as well. And the reason for that is if you look at the way the circular saw blade turns, it actually turns counterclockwise as you're looking at it. So when the board is upside down, the blade will contact the top surface first, which is upside down, and then it'll cut through to the bottom surface. If you had it right side up, the blade would actually contact the bottom, which is the felt surface first, and then rip up through your top surface, which may leave a ragged edge. I also put a 2x4 underneath the board so that the blade has clearance as it cuts through, and I use a speed square to hold against the edge as a straight edge so that my saw cut is nice and straight. What I'm going to show you here is how I get my edge boards into place that are too close to swing the hammer. So I'll use a piece of 2x4 against the drywall, and I'll use a pry bar. Now between the pry bar and the flooring is a piece of scrap board, so I don't want to damage the edge of the board. So I'll put the pry bar against the scrap wood, pry against the 2x4, and just keep working that edge back and forth until the two boards click together. And then I'll tap down the joint with the hammer. Sometimes I have to go back and re-pry it in, but it will go in eventually and it'll click in. Just keep working it with the pry bar and then tap it down with the hammer at the end.
So here's the finished floor of the room. I did put a new baseboard in and new quarter round. So you'll see that here. New baseboard, new quarter round.
So here's the finished floor all together with trim all the way around. And I hope you liked the video. If you do, please like it and also subscribe to the channel. And I'll continue to post videos with new projects that come along. Thanks for watching.